All right, what's up, guys? Good morning. Happy Sunday. Got to start early today. Vikings are playing the Steelers in Ireland. I got really thoughts on this game, a lot of thoughts on the game, but none of them involve gambling because I can't bet on the game. Too many variables. If you're betting on the game, I imagine you want to lean towards the under. The narrative is, if you haven't placed the bet yet and you're going to hear it, or if you're whatever, just go through it for a minute. But I know most people want to take the under. The narrative is that the defenses should shine, especially the Vikings defense. They're the best unit on the field. They should get a lot of pressure on Rodgers, blah, blah, blah. It's just too up in the air. So if you got to bet on the game this morning, I don't know. It's going to feel like more Steeler fans are there. That makes me a little nervous. And I can't bet on Carson Wentz, so I can't bet on the Steelers. I can't touch the game. But I get if you got to bet on the game, especially after last night. If you weren't on the right side of those late games, what a tough night or a great night, depending on how you bet. But man, drama. First of all, Georgia just cannot get over the hump. Like the whole game, you're just waiting for them to get over the hump. Not going to go through the entire game, but man, I love that quarterback from Alabama. Simpson just made play after play, especially the last play of the game to seal it. Alabama wins, and then the Penn State Oregon game is just crazy, just back and forth. And just who can make one more play at the end of the game, and it's not Penn State for a change. So Oregon wins that game. And then the BYU game was pretty nuts. So BYU beats Colorado if you stayed up late for that. So got an early game today. Let's see. Like I said, I just can't touch the game. But my gut tells me the Steelers are going to somehow win this game because most people are going to take the Vikings. I hate to say it, but all right, let's go. I do not have as many games as I had last week. So I'm going to go through the games that I don't have first and why I don't have them and talk through them. But I didn't love the board. Last week, I believe I had 7 plays. And this week, I'm only going to have 3. So I don't love the games. Maybe I'll get to 4. But let's go through them and why I don't love them. The Eagles-Bucks is the first game. I want to take the Bucks. Yeah, I've been on the Bucks early. I was on the Bucks last year before, they really made their run, and I was fading the Eagles. And the last time they played each other, this was the game that I was right about. The Bucks smashed them in Tampa, just absolutely, steamrolled them, got the lead. The Eagles couldn't throw the ball. Now the Eagles are favored by 3.5. Tampa looks great, but if you're watching them closely, I think there's still holes on the defense. And now the Eagles have some confidence after last week. So I really don't like the intangibles here for Tampa. If it was a different spot in the schedule, a different sequence of games, maybe I'd favor the Bucks. I just don't love it today. I don't think the Mike Evans injury really helps much, obviously, for Tampa. And I don't know. Something tells me that this game could be the Eagles win by 6, 7, 8 points. I want to take Tampa. My gut tells me, though, that the Eagles are going to win this game, just because they have the intangibles of losing to Tampa last time, and the Bucks are banged up. And the Bucks defense still isn't great. They lost a Clancy character, I think it was the first week of the season, and they're just not great on defense. We'll see, but I'm staying away from that one. The next game, I don't know how you touch the Saints-Bills game because you want to close your eyes and just take the Bills after what happens at the Saints last week. I mean, the Seahawks just annihilated them. The game was over within – felt like the first quarter, less than that. But it is the National Football League. I'm never going to give 14.5 points, especially early in the season. The Saints can be 0-3, but they haven't given up on the season. That's the one thing you got to remember. I'm not going to put my money on the Saints, but I would lean Saints. I said that last week when they were getting 7.5. But when it comes to Buffalo, they're the type of team where if you're going to give 14.5 points, they fit all those metrics. I get it. Once they get up on you, that defense is really tough, especially when they're playing at home. However, you just never know. It could be a weird game where the Saints hang around and then the Bills beat them by 10 points and you just don't cover. So I'm going to stay away from that one. The Browns-Lions is pretty much in the same boat. You want to take the Lions here, -10, just because the Lions look so good against the Ravens last week. And you're like, man, if they can do that against the Ravens, shouldn't they be able to do some of that against the Browns? And I would say maybe, but maybe the Browns defense is just a lot better against the run than the Ravens. So I'd be wary of that. I think it's a good matchup for Cleveland, actually, when you think about it from a defensive standpoint, because they're going to get a pass rush, I think, against Goff. Goff is probably going to do some shorter passes early in the game. I imagine the Lions go into this game a little bit more conservative than, the total's 44.5 points. I would lean towards the under. I don't think I can put my money on it. Again, it's a stay away game because the Lions, they're such a volatile team at home, and they could just blow them out. But if you made me bet on the game, I would lean towards Cleveland to keep it close. The 10 points feels right about where it's going to end up. It's hard to figure out how Cleveland's going to move the ball against Detroit because Cleveland just doesn't do anything really okay on offense. Everything feels like it's just bad. It feels like it's a struggle. They have the new tight end who seems to be Flacco's favorite target at the moment, but there's just not a lot of juice there. Maybe the Lions have a letdown. Tough game. Again, got to stay away from it. Another stay away game is the Titans-Texans. This game, I don't know how you bet this game. You can't bet the Titans. That's the rule, right? Now Callahan's not calling plays, whatever that means. Who knows? But you can't bet the Titans. You just can't. I'm not doing it. But the Texans -7 feels like you can't do that either. The Titans actually play the Texans pretty well over the past couple of years. They always play well. It's a good rivalry. So even when the Texans have been good and the Titans have been bad, it's usually a close game. Just feels like a weird matchup for the Texans to be favored by 7 points. Eventually, the Texans are going to break out of it. I'd stay away from it. If you do like the Texans today, maybe put them in the teaser minus the 6-point teaser and put them with some other things you like. But, man, I got to see it first. I thought the Texans would beat the Jags last week, and they just could not get over the hump. Just the vibes seem really off. They released C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Maybe that changes things, but got to stay away from that one. And the last stay away game for the 1 o'clock is the Chargers-Giants. I want to take the Chargers. Everything tells me to take the Chargers, right? Like they're -6. They win 3 division games in a row against Broncos, Raiders, and Chiefs. They look pretty good all the way around if you're watching them. And the defense feels like, man, they're just going to at least force a couple turnovers against Jackson Dart. I know he's going to be pretty good, based on the preseason. He's got the vibes, whatever. But week 1, home against that Chargers defense feels like everything's going against them. However, is it a letdown for the Chargers? I hate the fact that it's an early start. I hate the fact that they played 3 straight divisional games. That Broncos game was taxing. So do I want to give the 6 points? I really don't. But that would be a game where it feels like the Chargers probably win the game at the buzzer. Maybe the Chargers are like the opposite of what they've been over the past few years, where they might not cover here and they're just going to win these close games, right? Like Harbaugh is a very good, if not the best situational coach in football. Hard to see the Giants winning, but I really don't want to bet on the game. And maybe the Giants do get the Chargers in a letdown spot. All right, so the 1 o'clock games I like. 2 1 o'clock games I like. The first one we'll go to is the Panthers-Patriots. I've been scratching my head here all week why the spread's 5.5. The Panthers are a little banged up at the linebacker spot, and they can't stop the run too well. So I guess the logic is the Patriots are going to run the football pretty well. And maybe the Panthers can't come from behind. They don't play well on the road. But 5.5 points with this Patriots team when they turn the ball over left and right is just, I'm not doing it. I like the Panthers. I think the Panthers can win the game. I wouldn't be surprised if they win the game. 5.5 points, just Panthers coming off a shutout. When I look at the vibes for this game, it's complete opposite direction. The Patriots are heartbroken after not winning last week against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh tried to lose the game. It felt like, and then New England was like, no, we want to really lose the game, just turnover after turnover. And then at the end of the game, the receiver goes backwards, like the anti-Patriots play. Like that's Wes Welker, Julian Edelman catch the ball and then they back foot their way in for another 2-3 yards. This receiver goes backwards, Patriots lose, and now they're going to come home and blow out the Panthers. I just don't see it. I think the Panthers are going to go there and make them work for it. And I like the Panthers to cover. The Commanders-Falcons is probably my favorite game at 1 o'clock because I can't imagine taking the Falcons. Like if you're still betting the Falcons, I really don't know what to tell you because they are, when you talk about the worst situational football team, it feels like the Falcons. The Commanders beat them last year in this game. Sunday Night Football, second to last week of the season, I believe, or third to last week, one of those. And Washington, they don't have Jaden Daniels. They don't have McLaurin. It's not going to matter this week. Marcus Mariota is really good, and they're going to be able to run the football. The Falcons are going to struggle. The Washington's defense didn't play great against the Raiders. The stats look good for the Raiders at the end of the game. So I think it gives Washington an added boost this week to tighten things up, even though they got the blowout win last week. Mariota's, I just think he's better. I think pretty much everything's better with Washington and the Falcons. There's not really home field advantage. So even though McLaurin's not playing, they still got Debo. And I I feel like that, I forget his name now, McNichols, the young running back. I wouldn't be surprised if he's a spark for Washington throughout the year. I just like Washington here, and I really don't like Atlanta. So that'd be more of a fade to the Falcons. It's 1.5. I'll take the 1.5. So I got two road dogs that aren't the best teams in the NFL, but they're playing teams that really I think that they're actually better than. So I got the Patriots and I got the Commanders. And let's see. All right, 4 o'clock games. Jaguars, 49ers. I just Brock Purdy's coming back. I'd like to see it first. I like to see what the Jags look on the road. So it is a stay away game for me. I got a feeling the Niners win the game, but the Jags cover. So I got it being a tight game. Trevor Lawrence, I like him better in an underdog spot. I like him better on the road. I like him better like when there's maybe less pressure on him. I think that's going to bode well for him. It looked like he's just starting to get into some rhythm. So I feel like I want to be cautiously optimistic about the Jaguars team. But at the same time, every time you want to buy into the Jags, they would get blown out in a game like this, just when you want to take them with a bunch of fumbles. So I'm curious to see what the game looks like. The Niners, like I said, they got Brock back, and they're undefeated. So your logic is like, man, the Niners could be 4-0 here, not really playing anybody. Then they get the Rams, I believe, on Thursday night. Feels like that's where we're headed as a storyline. Whether or not they cover, TBD. I'm going to skip the next one. So the Bears Raiders, I can't touch that game either because can't bet the Raiders. Maybe I want to bet the Raiders. Maybe I think the Bears suck, but I don't think the Raiders are any good. If you made me bet the game, I'd probably just lean towards the over. It feels like a crazy game. Feels like there's going to be a bunch of points. But at the same time, both these quarterbacks to throw interceptions in the red zone. I don't like betting on quarterbacks that are too unpredictable. Maybe the Raiders, I think they're going to be better value at the end of the year when they don't have a good record. I just don't see it. Something's missing with them as far as playmakers, as far as the chemistry, the offensive line, all the things that you're kind of looking forward to relying on. I don't think the Raiders have it. But the Bears are not a team that I'm high on at all. So even if the Bears win this game, I wouldn't be high on the Bears. But they got good vibes coming into the game. So I don't really want to bet against them, especially the Raiders. So ultimately got to stay away from it. I am going to take the Rams. I don't know if it's a trap or not. I don't know if it's just because I can't see the Colts being 4-0, but it feels like the worst matchup possible for the Colts. The Rams are going to be a better version of the Broncos. They're going to get more pressure than the Broncos did when the Colts beat them in Indianapolis. This game's going to be in Los Angeles. It's travel for the Colts. It's a level up competition. And then I think on the other side of the ball, Stafford's going to be really good. I have a feeling the Colts defense is going to get a little exposed. They have some holes. The new defensive coordinator's been spot on. The Colts have looked good. They're getting all this good press. Let's see what happens when they have to play from behind on the road. Give me the Rams minus 3.5. And then tonight, then I'll do the Ravens. But tonight, the Packers-Cowboys is a weird game because the logic would tell you to take the Packers until what happened last week against the Browns, because then it's like, damn, do I really want to take this Packers team? They're just so uninspiring against Cleveland. They got to close that game out. Even in the fact they didn't cover, which is annoying in itself if you had the Packers, but they got to win that game. That's a bad sign. Are they really going to go to Dallas and just blow them out in Sunday Night Football? I don't really see it. The Micah Parsons thing's interesting, but I don't know if he's as relevant as everybody's making him out to be. I don't know if it's a difference maker tonight. The Cowboys don't have CeeDee Lamb. That's the difference maker to me. Without him, I don't really like the Cowboys. For some reason, I feel like the game's going to go under because everybody's going to want to take the over and think there's going to be a lot of excitement and a lot of points. But I think the Packers are going to play it pretty conservative. I think the Packers are going to want to, not lose this game. And I don't know if they're going to just come out and start slinging the ball all over the place. Would be surprised if they just lean on the running game. And then the Cowboys, without CeeDee Lamb, it might be a lot of quick passes. I'm not sure exactly where they're going to go. They looked terrible last week. I got to just stay away from that game. So I got 3 games that I like, which is the Rams minus 3.5, the Panthers plus 5.5, and Washington plus 1.5. But I like Washington to win outright. And then the Ravens and the Chiefs, after much consideration here, I can't get over the fact that I don't like the Chiefs being a home underdog. From a gambling standpoint, if you're betting the Ravens, you have to do the money line. There's no point to do the 2.5. You got to pay the juice. Last thing you need is to win by 1 or 2 points. And the Ravens, and you don't cover. So I just wouldn't do it. Something just tells me the Ravens need a little bit more humbling. I hate saying that, but the way they responded, at least in the media, which maybe I'm reading a little too much into it, but just felt like they don't think it's a big problem what happened last week, and maybe they need to get their ass kicked one more time. I'm not sure. I long-term have faith in the team. It's early, but the loss to Buffalo and the loss to Detroit makes me think even a loss today to Kansas City is not the end of the world. So maybe that's why it's on my mind. From a matchup standpoint, if you're betting on the game, 48.5 points, it's a lot of points. Your guess is as good as mine when it comes to the Ravens offense. It's hard to predict, right? Like, especially against Spagnuolo, he's going to blitz a lot. The Lions were able to do a couple things that I'm sure the Chiefs are going to want to carry on, and the Chiefs linebackers are better than the Lions linebackers. So we'll see on that front. On the other side of the ball, the Chiefs, I know what the game plan is going to be. They're really just going to try to shorten this game up. I'd be surprised if they did much besides quick passes, real quick. They might go a little no huddle. We're down linemen. I mean, Madubuike is not playing. Washington's not playing. The linebackers, as it is, I don't have the best thoughts here about the linebackers, but I just have a feeling the Chiefs are going to try to get 3rd and 3. I don't know how many deep shots they're going to take. Worthy's back. Thornton, they took a lot of deep shots to him, relatively speaking, last week against the Giants, but they're going to just try to keep Lamar off the field. They're going to use Noah Gray, the other tight end, and Mahomes is just going to try to cut them by 1,000 pieces. I don't know. The Lions did a lot of 10, 12-yard routes with Amon-Ra St. Brown, and I just don't see the Chiefs necessarily replicating that. I think they're just going to want to – maybe they replicate the run game and do a lot of things the Lions tried to do, but the passing game I think is going to be just quick, not give a chance for the Ravens to do much, and see if the Ravens can get them off the field. So I lean towards the under. If you're betting on it, I always lean towards the under when it comes to the Ravens, because I just imagine the defense is going to step it up. So if the Chiefs play like that, maybe the Ravens just punk them and they're able to hit them hard and wear them out by the fourth quarter. I really want to see this Ravens defense pop back into action. I'm just not 1,000% confident today. So, all right, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go watch the only 8:20. So still got time. If you're betting on the Steelers-Vikings game, if I can help you in one way whatsoever, watch the first few minutes before you bet. You can live bet these games. These games are crazy. Just to see what the vibes are before you just bet on it. I don't have strong opinion besides whatever can happen in that game probably will. So, all right, good luck, and I'll see you guys in the morning. All right, see ya.